My grandfather was an SS officer for the Nazis, not a soldier, an officer. He was, the SS was an occult organization. As it grew and became larger, they made other little esoteric communities, which I won't get into right now, little secret society types, of which he was a part. And so I was given a lot of insights that most people don't have, which from an early age. So I'm going to share some of those with you. First of all, he was adamant that what they called Foo Fighters, which is published in a lot of newspapers, the Germans having some kind of anti-gravitic flying metallic balls, he said that they did have that. And they were working on what became known as saucers. So we're not talking about aliens yet, but the Germans had this technology, and towards the end of the war, they knew they were going to lose, especially once America got in. They were just outnumbered. They were out-manufactured, and the writing was on the wall, so they had a plan B to save this technology. They didn't want it to fall into the enemy's hands, and they moved it to places like Antarctica. So this is direct knowledge, not from a video, not from some whistleblower. This is from a human being involved in it. My grandfather, his mouth to my ears. So if you start researching Operation High Jump and some of these things, you'll see where there's smoke, there's fire. In 1946, America sent thousands of armed soldiers to Antarctica, allegedly for science experiments. And if you look at what Admiral Byrd had to say, who was the commander, that the next world war would be fought with an enemy from the polar regions that had high technology, that can fly from pole to pole. So what we're establishing now is that the Germans had this advanced technology. Everyone knows it. And I'm not just talking about rockets like von Braun, but they had advanced science, they had advanced technology. And they themselves said they learned it from people from other worlds. This is what they said, the Nazis. Sounds fantastic, of course. Once you look at the Battle of Los Angeles, which was a UFO flying over LA, you look at Roswell, you look at UFOs flying over the White House, this is basically this breakaway civilization of Germans. So far, I know this sounds fantastic, but if you just research what I'm saying, at your own pace, if you have free time in Nigeria, look into this and you'll see there's something to this. So they claimed that there are these Nordic-looking race that is separate from us, that the same way that there's tribes in Africa that don't use money, that are separate, or in the Amazon, there's more advanced people that are not part of our civilization. Some of them inhabit subterranean caves and caverns below the ground. The Tibetans talk about this. Many civilizations, the Hopi Indians, speak of this. And again, might sound fantastic to you, but this is not people that are sitting around speculating. This is what my grandfather in the SS said that the Germans at the highest level of their government were doing, building bases, visiting, and interacting. So this is kind of different than just speculating. You said, why does it happen in America? One second, I'm cooking. Let me just turn this down. So this World War II didn't quite end the way people think. Certainly Germany surrendered, but this faction of Nazis did not. And you had a continuation of what we call a UFO phenomena. Hollywood started talking about little green men to cover this up, because the technology that makes UFOs fly would essentially give us free energy. And the world is kind of enslaved on oil, and they wanted to keep the status quo. So there's a reason why this is secret. There's a reason why the Germans were flexing their technology over America. And you have people like Adamski, you have Betty and Barney Hill, who, if you really look into it and look into their hypnotic regression, this is a famous UFO case, they said it was Nazis. The word for word, he goes, I'm looking at the UFO. The guy asked him, what do they look like? He's wearing a Nazi outfit. Hello, am I still here?
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I
So,
totally
so
agree.
now
I have done.
you can just say UFOs and blah 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 blah. But I'm telling you, these people are saying these are Nazis, and this is in the early '50s. You know, with a Nazi black SS uniform. You can look it up. His actual hypnotic regression is
Yes, I
available.
have seen. Yeah, I have seen
Okay.
evidence of this,
So
and I
so
do. No, I
now
do.
we're starting to
I
go
do
into
believe.
human tech. It's just human technology. It's not a big stretch. It's not. I'm not saying it's different. You know, some outlandish Star Wars scenario. It's just Germans happen to have something that's beyond rocket propulsion, beyond aerodynamics or helicopters. They have an anti-gravitic craft that can bend space-time. They say there's other people from other worlds. This is a quote. So we can take it from there. I answered why U.S. They don't care about Australia. The U.S. were their enemies. The U.S. were the ones with the bombs and that carpet bombed Germany, and that's why they were flying around flexing their muscle over the White House. And the real end of World War II came when Eisenhower met and negotiated with quote unquote aliens. Aliens means Germans. So you wanna take it from there? We can go deeper. The Russians made documentaries validating everything I said. The Russians were the first ones that came into Berlin, and when the Soviet Union fell, a lot of what they confiscated was released, which are literal plans and drawings of Hanabus and these crafts the Germans had. Now, you'll notice I'm talking about people. Germans are people, just like you and me and anyone else. I'm not talking about aliens the way you're describing it from another galaxy. If an alien came from another galaxy, you would not see it if it didn't want you to see it. It's not, you would not know if it didn't want you to detect it. If it has the technology to come cross galaxy, then it's kind of silly to assume, why do I not see it? So let's differentiate between people just like us that are more advanced and, this term alien as like some kind of, sci-fi movie. So I'm still talking about just the people part. I'm trying to take this, in stages. So you're saying that you're dismissing what the Pentagon is saying as far as there being exotic technology that moves at speeds they can't explain, that does sharp turns, that disobeys the laws of physics as far as aerodynamics goes. Are you discounting that?
No, of course not.
Okay, so the Pentagon gave you a disclosure that there's this technology, and I'm explaining to you that people at the highest echelons of the German government, what they were involved with, and and I even gave you a motive for why to cover this up, because we are enslaved. The technology is stagnant. We have the same internal combustion engine for the last 100 years, up until Tesla. I mean, I drive a Tesla, it's just an electric car, but they had that 100 years ago too. So we are stagnant, We should be in a Star Trek-like civilization with free energy, traveling around, but we're not. So we are being held back. We are being dumbed down in every subject. Anthropology is a joke. And I'm claiming that other subjects are also manipulated to keep us dumbed down. Anything that leads to free energy or advanced propulsion or technology is withheld.